Hey, welcome back. We're in a slightly brighter world today because it helps me show off what we're going to be doing today. So let's get started. We're going to be building a door which has a key to open the door, and it's only one key, so you won't be able to sort of like duplicate the key or use someone else's key. Like you have to find this specific key within a map to use it, or the door won't work. Let's get started, and I'll show you what we're doing. This was a request from, I think, one of the streams, or it might have been from Discord. I can't specifically remember who did it, so please do let me know if it was you who requested this. Otherwise, enjoy, and let's get going. So here I have what we're going to be building. So I have this door, which most of it's set up and available in my public folder. I'll show you that in just a moment, but there's going to be a key. So here's our key. It's just a basic key. Everything here was made in Neos, by the way, very quickly using primitives. And if we take the key and we put it in the lock here, you'll see that the door opens. And if we take the key out of the lock, you'll see that the door then closes. When I talk about there being only one key, that's kind of important because for maps where you want there to be one key, sometimes you might have players, thinking that they can go ahead and, say, duplicate the key. But the duplicate here won't work. It's only the original key that you might, hide within somewhere within a map or something. It's the only key that works is the original key here. So I'm going to show you how to set that all up. There aren't any sounds or animations here or key turning, and it's a little bit weird that when you remove the key that the door closes, but that's what we're going to go for today because it keeps things nice and simple and it keeps things easy within this video tutorial. So let's get going. So over here on the left, I'm going to quickly turn on my private UI because I've got this set up waiting for you in my public folder. So if we go into my public folder, if you don't have that, you can find it in the directory. And you have my public folder here, go into tutorials, and then you'll see door with key, and then you'll see one that says setup. That's the setup version, and you'll see base, and that's the base version that doesn't have anything set up. So if you want to follow along at home, spawn the door base, and we can build it. So you'll see when that the door base, let me turn private UI back off, you'll see that when the door base spawns, it's just a door with a key. You'll see here that when I put the key towards the lock, nothing happens. And that's fine. We're actually going to set up everything here as we go. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to make that the key goes into the keyhole. And we're going to do a snapper for this. A snapper is a nice, easy way for an item just to go somewhere. And it's also easy in this case because it provides a unique relationship. Like I talked about over there with the setup door, we want it so that only one key can open your lock and not other keys. And snappers allow for that. Tags do as well, but they're not sort of as secure. This is like quite secure in that only the key that's here can affect it. So let's get going. Is a tutorial I've done on snappers separately. I'll link that in the video description if you get lost here, but we're going to be just setting up a simple snapper on the key. So the first thing to do with a snapper is to set up the place that you want it to snap, and in this case we want it to be the keyhole. So I've equipped a developer tooltip here. I'm going to secondary select the keyhole, and then hit open inspector. This will get you into an object called cylinder. Just hit up once and that gets you to what is called the keyway. That's like the official name of the place where a key goes in a lock. It's called the keyway. And what we're going to do here is make the snap target, which is the first half of the snapper. To do that, I'm going to hit star, which makes keyway child. And I'm going to rename that to be keyway snap target. I always find it great if you name everything like logically within your world. You'll never really have any confusion later. So here I'm going to attach the snap target. To do that, I'm going to go to attach component, transform, interaction, snap target. And that's the snapper set up for now. What I'm going to do is just increase the snap distance just a little bit to 0.2. That just makes it so it's a little bit easier to put the key in the lock. You'll see in the moment once it's set up. I'm going to leave that inspector over there just because we don't need that for right now. And I'm going to go to the key. So again, secondary selecting that and then opening inspector. Again, here will be an object called cylinder. Just go up a few times, you'll end up a key. So this is the key that you want. I forgot to do one thing in here, but this actually makes a good thing to talk about. Snappers work with colliders, so you need a collider to be there. The easiest way to make this key work better in a snapper setup is to add a box collider that represents the whole key. I didn't do that because I forgot, to be totally honest. So we'll do that now quickly. So I'm going to go to attach component, physics, colliders, box collider, and I'm just going to hit set from local bounds, and that'll make a collider that's set up for the whole key as a whole, like every single part of the key, rather than the individual colliders that might be on the torus or the cylinder, etc., because those are less reliable when it comes to the key snapping in. So now that we've got the box collider set up, we need to do the other half of the snapper setup, which is called the snapper. That is in transform interaction snapper. And then we're going to need the other inspector back. And so what we're going to use here is the way I usually do snappers. I notice other people use the keywords. We're actually going to use the snap target whitelist and the snapper whitelist rather than the keyword whitelist here. Keyword whitelists are good for things like hats or weapons, etc., where you just want sort of anything tagged with weapon or hat to snap in. But the target whitelist and the snapper whitelist, they're good for it when it's a single object. You only want it to be a single object. For example, for my face here, I use the snap target whitelist and the snapper whitelist, but for a hat, I might use a keyword of hat. So what we need to do here is basically say that the key is whitelisted with the snap target, and the snap target is whitelisted with the key. So to do that, we're going to hit add on snap target whitelist, add on snapper whitelist, and we're going to drop the key by grabbing it and dropping it into the snapper whitelist, and then we're going to grab the snap target keyway here and drop it into the snap target whitelist. And there we go. That should be the snapper setup. I say should be because sometimes snappers are a little bit unreliable when you first set them up. So there we go. I'm going to shove this in, and you see, there we go, it's snapped. But now that you see it snapped, you'll see that it's snapped in a really sort of awkward direction. The key is actually embedded in the door right now. You can see it sticking out there. And that's because when a snapping operation happens, it always inherits the rotation and position of the snap target. So if we want to adjust that, we can adjust the position of the snap target. So let me get a gizmo around the snap target, and we can see what we need to do. So the first thing I want to do is sort of rotate the key properly. So to do that, I'm going to pull the snap target out of the door here using the blue arrow, just so I can actually see it. And you'll see that it's snapped at that rotation. So we need to adjust the rotation a little bit here. I think from memory, and this is only memory, if we do -90 on the Z, no, that wasn't right from memory. Okay, we'll do this manually, how we do it. Rotations get kind of weird when you're working with more than one axis. So in this case, what I want is that the key is, when it's in there, I want it to be in the keyhole and the right way up. And so to do that, I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis, which is the green one. That needs to be 90. And then it will be the x-axis also 90. So I need both of those to be 90. So we'll try that, but the world of rotations might make that a little bit difficult. Do bear with me here. Oh, looks like I meant -90. So -90 on the Y here will get us so that we're like at least aiming in the right direction. And then I think 90 on this axis will get us so that we're lined up there. And then we can push OK. And you'll see that everything lines up there. You'll see that we've got stuff in the Z and stuff on the Y. That doesn't really make sense. That's just the nature of rotations. Rotations in Neos are measured in quaternarians, and sometimes they're inexpressible in Euler angles in a way that makes sense. So here, this doesn't really make sense. We only needed to do a Y rotation and an X rotation, but a Z rotation has occurred as well, and that's just, it happens. It's always best to just run with it, basically. And then, let's see, I want to move the key just in a little bit. What I want is the all of the prongs of the key. I want those in the lock. Oops, I grabbed the middle there, which lets me do multiple axes where I just want the x-axis. There we go. That's in the keyway a little bit better now. And you'll see that that positioning and rotation has only been applied to the snap target. And if we go back to the key, you'll see that that's all 0. That's very important. So now if I deselect everything and I take the key out, and I put the key back in again, you'll see that it's easier to snap in because the snap target's a little bit further away from the door, and it snaps in a way that would make sense. You know, all the prongs are in, the key's the right way up. Like I said before, there isn't any sort of turning animation or turning process here or any noises. I just wanted to keep it simple. We're already at quite a long video. So all we've got to do now is basically, when the key is in the keyhole, open the door, and when it's out of the keyhole, close the door. That's the easier part. So we're going to go over to the door, which is here in this keyway inspector. I'm just going to close this one, and I'm going to hit up, and that gets us to the door. Actually, up twice will get us to the door. No, 3 times. Will get us to the door. And you'll see that the door is structured like so. There's the door base, and then there's the hinge, and then there's a sphere, which is actually the handle, the gold handle there. The box is the wooden part of the door, and then the keyway under that. The reason why there's a hinge occurring is because it's been created by me ahead of time, so we don't have to cover it in the video, that the hinge point of the door is over here. And so we want the door to rotate like that. And so that's already all set up in terms of like a rotation point. I will do a video on that at some point, but I basically created a child from the door base. I positioned it where I wanted it to be, and then I put everything under that hinge point. If you go to the door base here, you'll see the door base has a hinge point of the center of the door, which would be no good. It would look like, one of those like rotating doors at grocery stores, etc. So that's why the hinge exists. So what we want to do is rotate the hinge by 90 degrees on the y-axis when the key is in the hole, and rotate it back to 0 on all of the rotation axes when there is no key on the door. So we're going to do that. This is where logics comes in, so do bear with me. We're going to go ahead and equip a logics tip here. And I'm going to need a few reference cards. So I'm just going to pull those out as we start. So I'm going to need the keyway, snap target, not the actual key, just the snap target here. So I'm going to grab that with my controller and then hit secondary, and then we get an interface card for that. I'm going to turn this up, and I'm also going to put my tip into the word name, hold trigger or primary, and pull out a ribbon, and then push secondary, which gets me this name label, which I can put up here. This just makes it easier for me to see that this is the snap target and not anything else. I know what that one is. The other one we're going to need is the hinge, because that's the one that we're going to drive. So I'm going to again grab the word hinge from the inspector, hit secondary, and that gets the hinge. I'm going to put the hinge kind of over here, and I'm going to again put that tip in primary and then secondary to get the word hinge out. So now it's clear. I'm not going to get them too confused. Now we're going to need some nodes, so let's get going. I'm going to go ahead and push the menu button and open up the node browser here. And the first nodes that we're going to need are going to be in the slots folder. So we're going to go to slots. Everything here is alphabetical, remember, so just look around for the alphabetical letter that you're looking for. So here are our slots, and we're going to need 2 from slots. We're going to need slot children events, and we're going to need children count. So here's slot children events, and here is children count. And we'll put those both here, and now I'm going to explain what they do. Slot children events will emit an impulse every time the children of a slot changes. And so you'll see here on this inspector that the keyway snap target currently has the key as a child, but when I take the key out, it disappears, so it gets deparented. So we're going to use that to detect whether the key is put in. And because this door would be used in, say, a puzzle map, no one's going to be able to inspect and manually parent stuff to this. So it's safe to do it this way. Someone could put some logics on their avatar to go find the keyway and parent random stuff to it. But at that point, they're basically cheating, and it's their own fun that they're running. So we're not going to worry about that one, especially in the context of a tutorial. But do think about how you may solve it. What we want to do here is get that event out. So the easiest way to do that now is to put our tip of the logics tip into the top of the slot interface card here, drag it, and put it into the top of the slot children events node here. I have a video on slot children events, which I'll link in the video description as well, but we'll use it here, and I'll explain it as we go as well. So now that slot children events is in there, we also want to link it up to children count, and we can use this arrow here. Just put your tip into the edge of the arrow here and drop it into children count. And so now we've got both set it up. Now children count will return the number of children. And if we put out a display node again by putting in our tip, holding primary, and then pushing secondary, you'll see that we get 2 right now. And that may be surprising. Why did we get 2? And that's because there's a weird part of logics, which is when you create a reference to something, which we just did, you can see if it's a reference whenever you get an arrow that points to the left, or sometimes it points to the right, but whenever you get this kind of arrow here with the sort of not filled in center of the arrow, that's a reference. So you need to keep an eye out for that one. What I usually do to avoid this problem is I just move the ref elsewhere. In this case, we're just going to move up to the door base. We'll tidy it up later. It just needs to be not inside the keyway snap target. And so now you'll see that that's down to 1. And so if I pull out the on children added part of slot children events by again putting in the tip of my logics tip, pulling out a ribbon and hitting secondary, and the same for on children removed, put in the tip primary and then secondary, you'll now see that when I take the key out of the door, I get a onRemoved event, and when I put the key in the door, I get an onAdded event, and additionally, this changes from 0 to 1 when the key is in, and from 1 to 0 when the key is taken out. And so now what we want to do is we want to hook up some logics that when the key is added, we rotate that way, and when the key is removed, we take that way. And that's all we're going to do. So we're going to need a few more nodes for this. I'm going to clear up some display nodes for some space. And then we're going to spawn in some other nodes here. We're going to use a node called tween, which I also have a video tutorial on, which is good for just simple animations. It's great for this tutorial as well. Whoops, that is in actions. And you can see it here, tween. So we'll pawn in tween. I'm also going to put tween on the left here because it's the last thing that we're going to do. Now, tween has a lot of complicated inputs. Check the video in the video description on tween for more information. But all we need to do is hook up a few of the ones. And so we're just going to follow along at home, if you like. On the right-hand side of the node here, the top box shaped tween output is called target. This needs to be dragged to rotation and then let go. And you'll see it plugs in. There's another reference. And then rotation here, to do this, put the tip into the word rotation, drag a ribbon, it should be this kind of beige color, and put this into the from input, which is the second now beige input. When you link up this target, it will change the color of the inputs on these two ones to match the target fill's data type. So there you go, we've got the target of the tween being rotation, and the from value of the tween always being the current value of the rotation of the hinge. And so now we're going to hook up the slot children events nodes both on added and on removed to the top of the tween node, which basically means run the tween. And then all we need to do is detect whether the key is in there or not and decide on the rotation value. For that, we're going to use the $colon node. I have a video tutorial on that one as well. So we're going to spawn that in. That's in operators. I didn't say operators whilst I was going there. So it's in operators and then $colon there. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it two rotational values. And we're going to use the open rotational value when the key is in, and the close rotational value when the key is out. How do we detect the key is in and out? We're going to look at children count here. So if children count is 1, we want to use the rotation value of 0. And if the children count is 0, wait a minute, if the children count is 1, sorry, we want to use the rotation value of open. And if the children count is 0, we want to use the rotation value of 0, 0, 0, so it closes again. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the greater than node here, which is in operators. So you go to operators, greater than, and then spawn this in. Plug children count into the top of greater than, put the tip in, primary, and then let go. You'll see that this now turns green. Put primary, put the tip in, hit primary, secondary, and then you've got an input box here. I'm going to say if children count is greater than 0, it makes a Boolean, which we plug into the $colon node. And now the $colon node will output the top value here if the children count is greater than 0, i.e. the key is in the door, or it'll output the bottom value here, the unfalse value, if the key is not in the door. So now what we need to do is hook up the rotational values. I've seen people do this in various ways. Here's the easiest way to do it, especially when you're dealing with rotation on one axis. There's a node you can use. If you go back to the root of your node folder, and you can go to math, rotation, and then axis angle. Thanks for Fruix for both creating this node and showing me it a long time ago, but I love it, axis angle. So we're going to spawn this in. Now, axis angle has two inputs, but we're not going to worry about this right now. We're just going to plug the output of axis angle, which is beige, into the top of the $colon, which will turn $colon into a beige one, and then plug the output of $colon into the top of tween, this 2 value. And now for axis angle, all we need to do is specify the values here. So the value on the top here is the axis, and then the second value here is the angle that we want on the axis. So what I'm going to do is say that I want a rotation to occur on the y-axis, which is the second box here. So you put a 1 in the second box here, and then the angle we want is 90, because 90 degrees means open. So we're going to pull out this, push secondary, and enter 90. And now we should be done. Now nothing's going to occur because we're at the state where the key is inside, and this only fires when the key is immediately added or removed. So we're going to take the key out and then put it back in again. So here's the key out. I'm going to put the key back in again, and you'll see that the door opens. Take the key out, and you'll see it shuts. Now it's shutting quite fast, and that's because we're not providing an actual value for the second part of question mark colon. As the value just needs to be 0, what we're going to do is just spawn another axis angle, leave everything blank and plug it in, and now you'll see that there should be, there you go, a smoother animation as it closes. So we can put the key in, it opens, take it out, and again there's a smooth one there. Oh, I don't want to destroy the key. That was bad. I wanted to deselect everything with the developer tooltip here so we can get rid of the purple boxes. There we go. That's all there is to it. That perfectly emulates the door that we started at there. I know that this video is a super long one, but it does show you how to do everything, and I did slow down and make sure to do everything at a slightly slower rate. Feel free to run it at 2 times speed. I'm not sure how I could have made this video faster, but there we go. It is what it is. The last thing we're going to do here is pack the logics up, so I'm going to grab the logics tooltip here, and I'm going to go to the top of the door base, and I'm going to hit the star up here, make door base child, and I'm going to rename that to door base logics. I'm going to grab door base logics here, open up the context menu, hit set packing route, and then point to any of these nodes and hold secondary, and they'll all pack away. We can just pack these in as well, and there you go. Close all of our inspectors, and we've got the door set up. Let me just do this. I've noticed my head appearing. There is a bug right now where sometimes my head appears on the camera. I'm sorry about it. I'm working with a team to try and solve that as quickly as possible. So again here, put the key in, door opens, take the key out, door closes. This is only one way to do it. There are many other ways to do it. Just like Neos, there's ways to do everything. Try it out. Maybe add some sounds to it. Maybe add some, more rotation stuff to it. So you have to actually spin the key or something. Try different types of keys, or maybe more than one key. Maybe it's, like a 3-key lock. Try out some things. Let me know what you think. Put any questions in the comment section, and I'll see you next time. Once again, sorry about the length, but that's how it goes. See you next time. Bye-bye.